Hello and welcome to this video where I will demonstrate to you how you can use any circular knitting machine in anti-clockwise or opposite direction than you are used to. That's helpful when the gears are a little bit worn by using them one direction, or when this particular feeder is worn. I will demonstrate how you can see that when your machine is working fine and suddenly starts dropping stitches like crazy. The feeder is worn, and you can check it by looking carefully to the output on the inside. That little round hole is supposed to be round, but when you watch carefully you see a little uneven part, and that's where it's worn, and that makes you drop stitches. When it's not worn, it's just a knitting mistake with tension. But when that happens, you can use the machine without doing anything to the machine by using it in opposite direction, and I will demonstrate to you how you have to cast on, knit and cast off that way. Before we are going to cast on, we are cranking in opposite direction. Normally you crank clockwise, and now I'm cranking anti-clockwise, and that's the difference in cranking. So instead of pushing it forward, you crank towards you. This is my first needle. I made sure it's in the correct position, and then I start treating my machine with yarn, starting on the left of the first needle instead of the right. So I'm going with the short end on the left, hanging in the machine from left to right under that first needle. I'm moving my machine in this direction, that way I can see clear what's happening. I'm going to crank towards me, so in opposite direction. And now I'm going to cast on. Just zigzag. I'm cranking so the machine is going round, and I'm just casting on as we are used to, only in opposite direction. You have to get used to cranking this way. Now I'm almost at the end. This is my last needle. I finish casting on behind the last needle. This is the first one. I'm putting my yarn into my feeder, making sure it's correct. Now I'm putting my machine in this position. From this point of view, I can see very clear what's happening where the knitting happens. And then I start knitting. I can see what's happening. I'm cranking this way, anti-clockwise. And it works exactly the same until the part where we have to cast off. Changing colors, you do that between the same two needles. So that's not different. But knit, knit, knit. Using the machine this way. It doesn't matter what machine you use, it works the same on every machine. Now I'm going to continue knitting, watching carefully that all the loops are completely down, and the machine runs like if it's just brand new. So give your machine a second life without doing things with the machine, using straws or whatever. So let's demonstrate how to cast off this way. Finished with knitting, and now it's time to cast off. I'm cutting my yarn long enough that it fits around my machine, and I'm putting it to the inside between the last knitted needle on the left from the first needle and the first needle. So the yarn tail is first needle, last knitted needle in between. I'm putting it into my yarn needle, and now I'm going to crank also in anti-clockwise or opposite direction. And I'm watching carefully that all the loops are slided completely down so that the loops can be released, because I'm going to knit without yarn to release the stitches from the machine. So I'm knitting anti-clockwise the same way as you knit it and cast it on. And I go all the way around, making sure that the loops slide down so that they will be released. And I do that till I'm almost around. Here's my last knitted stitch. I will put it until it comes just before the feeder. A couple of needles before you stop. This is my last knitted stitch. And now I'm going to pick up the stitches that are coming before it, so anti-clockwise. I'm picking up the next stitch, not the last knitted stitch, but the next stitch. That's released, so you can pick them up anti-clockwise, and you can crank further and make sure that the last knitted stitches are also completely down. And then you continue taking off your knitting from the machine the way you are used to, only you do it in the opposite direction. You can move the machine or crank further. And this is how you work with your machine in opposite direction or anti-clockwise. It's not difficult. It's basically the same, but only in opposite direction. It's like driving a car. You can go to the left and you can go to the right. And the output is exactly the same. You can do whatever you want to do with your tubes. You can use scrap yarn, change colors. When you know the basics, you can do everything, only in opposite direction. If you want to see more of my videos, please join my channel. I have a lot of free designs, workshops and tips and tricks free available. See the description of this video. And if you want to support my channel, you can always make a donation through PayPal. This is how the work looks, and now nobody will see the difference only by cranking in opposite direction than you are used to. Give your machine a second life. Now you are ready for all kinds of projects with your circular knitting machine. I have more than 70 free workshops for all kinds of different projects. And all those free workshops are for different sizes machines. So check the description of this video for the link to all the workshops in just one list. And add it to your library, because I'm adding constantly new projects. So stay updated and join my channel. Please give me a thumb up and feel free to tip me. Check the description of this video for all needed information and more. Stay safe, with love from Holland. Bye bye.